Hello and welcome to This Day Devo. My name is Pastor Guy, and today we are beginning what will be a 4-day journey through 1 Peter, followed by a 2-day journey through 2 Peter. You're doing a great job. We just have a handful of books of the Bible left, and I would love it if you would send me a picture of yourself with your reading plan so we can celebrate that together. It's a huge accomplishment, and I'm proud of you. Especially if you're embarking on this journey for the very first time in your life to read the whole Bible. So just shoot me an email, guy@onelifepunksy.org, and a picture of you with your paper, and we can make a compilation video celebrating all that you've done. So please do that. Please do that. Now, 1 Peter is a letter. This epistle that is written by the Apostle Peter. Yes, this is the Apostle Peter, the disciple Peter, who walked with Jesus, who was kind of like the leader among the disciples, the rock on which Christ said he would build his church. He was the man who would be the first to step out of the boat, right? Or, well, the only one to step out of the boat, but he stepped out of the boat, he walked on the water with Jesus, and then he began to sink, and then Jesus pulled him back up, but he took the risk. So, well, the reason I say that is he was a leader, and he was quick to go first. And sometimes that kind of bit him too, because sometimes he would speak too fast. We saw that all throughout the Gospels, where he would put his foot in his mouth and jump too quick, and Jesus had to rebuke him at one point and say, "Get behind me, Satan." And so he's just kind of that kind of grab and go kind of type A leader of the group. And now Peter writes these letters. 1 and 2 Peter, we know them as, and he writes these letters to Christians who are scattered throughout the Roman Empire, who are under severe stress and persecution, primarily by the famed Emperor Nero, who is well known as one of, if not the most brutal, hateful, disgusting leaders that Rome ever had. This is the guy who burnt down his own city and blamed it on the Christians. This is the guy who would martyr Christians by literally covering Christians in candle wax and using them to light the streets as they were dying. And so this man hated Christians. He was an ugly, ugly man. And Peter's telling the Christians who are living under this oppression how to persevere and stay strong for this short period of time. What would you say to somebody that was facing that kind of persecution? What would you want to write to them? Well, this is a glimpse into that. And what does Peter do? He starts with the reminder of the living hope that we have through the resurrection of Jesus and the promise of this grand inheritance that we call heaven. He begins that by calling the Christians. Now, have you heard this before? He refers to Christians as foreigners. My New Living Translation calls the Christians foreigners living across the region, and some translations will say strangers. Some of the older translations, you may even find the word alien, and that's important because he's reminding them that heaven is their home. He's reminding us that heaven is our home and that we have this eternal living hope in Christ, that's what we're living for, and that should be precious to us. And so that's something that draws us in. So the encouragement here is this reminder that we, in moments of suffering, in moments of pain, in moments of, wow, I can't seem to see past what I see on the horizon of my earthly life, Peter would have us to be reminded of the heaven that we are longing for, that we are waiting for, that we're desiring, and that we have that promise, that eternal inheritance. Why? But because of the precious blood of Jesus, because God sent Jesus to lay his life down as a ransom for you. Now, we don't talk a lot about heaven. We don't think a lot about heaven, but heaven is that home that we look for. And so we're strangers in this land. Like, by saying I'm a Christian, I'm saying that my home is elsewhere. Now, I found this really interesting quote from a D.L. Moody sermon from about 100 plus years ago, and he talked about heaven. And here's this is just one brief paragraph, and then I'll let you go for the day. Here's what he says. He says, at the beginning of a sermon on heaven, he says, "Now I think if God did not want us to know anything about heaven, he would not have written so much about it. And if heaven is to be our future home, we should try to learn all that we can about it, so that we may be living more for it. If you were about to immigrate to a distant land, we should never tire about hearing about that distant land. We would wish to know all that we could know about its people, all that we could know about its climate, all that we could know about its resources, all we could know about its schools, its institutions, the advantages for our children, the prospects for our business. There would be nothing relating to that country that would not interest us. And so when we are going to spend eternity in another world, can we really know or hear too much about it?" And so this end of quote, this is the beauty of learning about where we're going and learning why. Like, why can I stand through this test? Why will I stay faithful to Christ? Why? Because I see on the horizon not just the pain and the suffering and the fear of the moment and the hard parts of this life, but I see heaven on the other side. And so we look with anticipation for the heaven that is to come. I know, like, when one of my great-grandmothers was passing away, I'm told that one of the things that she said at one point was, it's been a good life, it's been a hard life, and I'm thankful. I wouldn't want to do it again, but I'm thankful that I did it, and I'm looking forward to heaven. And so I want to live with that kind of mindset, right? And so welcome to 1 Peter. I think you're going to love it. I think you're going to learn a lot. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Word sent down from heaven as the power of Christ